Today is going to be a day of the vowel apocalypse. But there's really no need to fear the vowel apocalypse. So when the vowels come falling from the sky, you will hopefully know what to do about it. Why don't we talk about vowels? And as I expertly and deftly get all of my windows in order, I'll just say, for those of you who are joining on YouTube in the future, tell us what it's like in the future. Do we have some sort of flying car situation? How's everything going? But if you're joining us from YouTube in the future and you enjoy this kind of content, we got to align some windows. If you enjoy this kind of content, please do subscribe, because there will be more coming. And there we go. The windows are now aligned. All you see is the blackboard. Beautiful. So there will be more of this kind of content coming. And if you do enjoy it particularly, what does they say? Smash the like button, right? And then you'll be able to let me know that you like this, maybe more than some other kind, and that'll help me plan out what I do next. Okay, that's probably the most rambly smash that like button segment that has ever occurred on YouTube, but there you have it. Welcome. Oh, I hope you can stick around, because we are going to be doing some we're going to be doing some conlanging in the third part. Okay, so vowels. For those of you who are interested in vowels, and if you're interested in language, you have to be interested in vowels, because all languages have vowels. What is a vowel? A vowel is something we can distinguish between a vowel and a consonant. These are the two kind of basic types of sound, of speech sound. A vowel is a sound that's made with a relatively unobstructed airflow. So things like I, O, E, all of these kinds of things. We can contrast vowels with consonants, in which there is always some kind of obstruction of airflow. Could be complete obstruction, like in a stop. Aptly named these things stops because the airflow stops. Ba, appa, ata. I've put vowels on either side so you can hear them. Because if I just said, well, you wouldn't hear anything because the airflow is stopped. So you can have that complete closure. You can also have partial closure with things like fricatives. Oh, by the way, idea, if anyone's on TikTok, you should do something like this. You should do Linguistics ASMR, and have all the different IPA characters come up, and then a voice says, voiced, uvular, fricative, and then just sort of a jump scare for everyone. So that's free content for all of you. You can just take that. Okay, what's next? So we have our consonants, which are made with obstruction of some kind, the vowels, which are made without obstruction, and this is a good place to start. So what happens, we talk about vowels. There's obviously more than one vowel. We can say ah, we can say e. These sound kind of different. And we, oh no, the stream is lagging. Okay, yeah, watch it later when it comes up on YouTube. Free ASMR from the phonetics dudes. This is like, we always talk about linguist jobs. Well, what better job for phoneticians than, to become ASMR streamers? I can't claim to be one myself. I'm, for the record, a morphologist. That's my bag. But I'd say go for it. If you're a phonetician, go into ASMR. It's a growth industry. Okay. So what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so we've got all these different vowels, but how are they different? There are three dimensions that we can talk about in which vowels might be different. There are actually more than three, but let's talk about three for now. So the big traditional division is into, where is my mouse? Give a big smiley face here. Okay, so that we know where we are. And don't go here. That's for me. Okay, so let's see, we have 3 dimensions. We have height, dimension 1. We have dimension 2, backness. And dimension 3, we have rounding. Okay, these are the 3 sort of main dimensions along which vowels vary, at least in their vowel quality. So what vowel are we talking about here? Is it an ah? Is it an e? Is it an So we have this, and what do we mean by height and backness? Well, if we look at the mouth, let me just do a little bit of artistry here for all of you. So let's take let's sort of imagine that we have the human body split on the side like this. So we're seeing what's called a sagittal section. So we're seeing a slice of the human body. So, no, we've gone. Okay, there we go. So we have a nose, something like this, and then we have some nostrils here so air can get in, and then we have the lips that come down here, and then we have a nice chin, and we go off like this, and might have to give us a bit more space here. Okay. So this is the outside. Now let's talk about the inside. So we have the nasal cavity, something that looks a little bit like this. And we have the teeth, and you can see just the skills on display here. You have the teeth, the top teeth, the bottom teeth, something like this. Then you have the roof of the mouth, the palate, the hard palate, and then you have the soft palate, or the velum. So the velum, the veil of the palate. And so this, unfortunately, we might have some congestion issues here. So if you can imagine, or you don't have to imagine, take your tongue and put it up against the roof of your mouth and just keep going back. So you feel your teeth, you feel this sort of ridge. That's this here. This is called the alveolar ridge, incidentally. And then you get to this sort of the roof of your mouth, which is where you don't want to get peanut butter. And it is, it's hard. And as you go further and further back, you reach a point where it becomes soft. And this is the soft palate, or the velum. And then the velum will end in the uvula, which is as we mentioned, I think a few weeks ago, the little dangly bit that you see in cartoon characters when they scream. And then go down like this. Great. Okay. So then we also have the tongue here. Let's put the tongue like this. All right. I'm not going to worry about every little part of this anatomy here, because what we're really concerned with is this space. Let's get another color up. Let's see if I can distinguish between this space in here. This is where the vowel action is going to happen. And when we talk about height and backness, what we're talking about is roughly where we're describing the shape of the tongue. In particular, its highest point. And so when you move the tongue up and forward in the mouth, you make a sound like E, E. So, if you're following along at home, you can do this too. Just make an E sound, and then be aware of where your tongue is positioned in your mouth as you're doing this. So E, and then contrast it with something like ah, E, ah. And what's going on with your tongue when this happens? Well, your tongue is doing 2 things when you transition from E to ah. You're going, the highest point of the tongue is going down, and it's also going back. So you're going to have something like, let's get another color here. Superb. So for E, we might have something like this. E. And for ah, sorry for all the visual pollution here. So let's say this is E. And this is going to be the IPA symbol for E. And then for let's make this nice and blue. So we have this low back vowel, and that is going to look something a little bit more like So we see that the topmost part of the tongue is low down and to the back, and I don't know how to get back to that other color, but it was something like this. And here it's sort of up into the front. So what we get when we consider these two dimensions is we get a kind of vowel space. We can sort of abstract away from the messy kind of reality and look at a little shape like this. Okay, I'm going to try and draw that a little bit better. And so this is the high part up here, and this is the low part down here. And then we have the front at the left side and the back. And so this kind of maps on to this green shape over here. Am I doing this right? Yeah. This area here. And so when we have access to this, we can start to plot where different vowels occur in this sort of two-dimensional axis. In this two-dimensional space with the height and the backness axes. And so that's why when you'll see vowel charts, if you go to Wikipedia for any language and you look at the phonology section, you'll see a vowel chart, which will, because it's done in HTML, it has to look like a bit of a table, but you'll see things where a vowel like, and I'm just going wild with the colors here, but you'll see E up here, and you'll see A down here, and you'll see U here, and various other things in other places. And so that's really what's going on here. So you can sort of do a grand tour of the vowel space with your tongue. If you start up at the very front, and the high front vowel E, you just gradually lower it, E, and we get this A vowel, this low front vowel, and then we pull it back, right? We're going back, then we can go up from to ow. Okay, we've gone all the way up to the high back vowels. Something more to be said about them soon, because you'll notice something happened with my lips as I did that. Ow. And then from the high back vowel, we can go all the way back to where we started. Ooh. Right? And so there I've also unrounded my lips as I've done it. And so this is the first two dimensions of the vowel space, and I've teased the third dimension. And the third dimension is rounding. And so this has to do with what's going on with the lips. For some vowels, you can, you can round basically any vowel, although there are definite tendencies as to which ones tend to be round. You'll see that almost always back non-low vowels, so this section of the vowel space are rounded. So they're round by default. These are things like oo or o. And the rest of the vowel space is sort of by default unrounded. But you can also have unrounded back vowels, unrounded high back vowels. So you'd have something like oo versus so you just keep the tongue exactly where it is for that vowel and just unround your lips. Ooh. Your mileage may vary on how accurate that is. I don't speak a language with that vowel natively, but that's the general idea. And just as you can have unrounded versions of normally rounded vowels, or sort of by default rounded vowels, you can also have rounded versions of vowels that by default are unrounded. So these are, a good example of this would be the high front vowels. E. E is a vowel, it's unrounded. You can see E, a nice non-rounded mouth shape there. And if we round that, E, 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 so we get this vowel E, which is a vowel you find French and German. And I forgot to write the unrounded version of oo. Ooh. And this vowel is found in Japanese, actually, with no contrastive rounded version, so that's a bit of an exception. It's also found in Korean and Scots Gaelic. So, what else is there to discuss? So, we have these three dimensions, and then you can start to look at. I'm going to try and find myself some more space here. Do I have it? No, not on that. Not on that side. Okay. So we have this vowel chart, and the important thing to know about the vowel chart is that the symbols we assign to the vowels are kind of idealizations. So the way it works is according to a system called the Cardinal Vowel system. And what the Cardinal Vowel system is, and let me make sure I'm going to draw this in a spot where you can see it. Hello, there we go. Make this nice and big because we're going to need it. We have our vowel space here. And the Cardinal Vowel system says that we can define vowels in relationship to the extreme positions in this vowel space. So in a language, whatever the highest and frontmost vowel is, we're going to write that E. Now, in any given language, the way this is pronounced might not be exactly this E, this highest and frontmost possible vowel that could ever be, but whatever's closest to that is going to be notated with this symbol. And similarly, we can go front and low front. So whatever the lowest and frontest vowel in a language is going to be notated A. So in a language, it might be something a little bit different. It might be A, it might be A, it might be E. But whatever vowel is in that range is going to get this symbol. Then similarly, we go to the back. Low back vowel is going to get this sort of script A symbol, A. And again, it might not be exactly that lowest, backest possible vowel, but whatever's closest. And then similarly, we have our oo vowel. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make this. No, I'll do it as I did it. Apologies there. And then we have this oo vowel. So whatever's closest to these points on the quadrilateral, that's going to get that symbol. So you are not guaranteed to have the exact, when you see the IPA, the International Phonetic Alphabet symbol, this little I, which represents E, it might not be exactly the same in every language, but it's going to be the closest vowel in that language to this idealized cardinal vowel. We have other cardinal vowels. So basically what we do is we subdivide this space into we subdivide the height axis into two layers in between high and low, and we give them cardinal vowels as well. So we have these two vowels, E and E. So these are the sort of in between. These are the mid vowels. We have the more close mid A or high mid A, and then the more open or low mid E. And similarly in the back vowels, these are going to be rounded. We have the high mid O and the low mid O. And let's just make a little. This is like the border of rounding. This is the border of default rounding. If you are unrounded inside this border, you are marked. And if you are rounded outside of this border, you are marked. So these are the cardinal vowels. We also have some central cardinal vowels. So just as we've subdivided the height axis with two additional steps, we subdivide the backness axis with one additional step. And then we get things like, this is E, I, E, I. The high central vowel. We get vowels here, and we get vowels here, and then we even get a vowel right in the center, which is schwa. I will give a so an actual in practice. I don't know a lot of non-phoneticians that are familiar with the vagaries of these central vowels, and who can distinguish them accurately or produce them accurately. Phoneticians, yes, but those of us who are more on the sort of structure side, farther away from the sound, would probably just say it's all some sort of variety of schwa anyway. So cardinal vowels. This is what we have. So basically, when you encounter a language, you have to take its vowel inventory and assign symbols based on which of these cardinal vowels each is closest to. If you get a vowel that is, so if you've used up the possible cardinal vowels, then you have to start assigning extra vowels. So there are extra symbols that are used when you've got a vowel in between. So say in a language you have this E vowel already taken, this I symbol is already taken with the E vowel, this A symbol's this, it's our letter E, but A is the sound. So this is taken up by another vowel. And so you have a vowel in between, like I. So this is not quite as high as E, not quite as low as A. So this is like the English vowel in bit, as opposed to beat, or bait. Give that a nice monophonal pronunciation so you can contrast them. Beat, bit, bait. So we have this vowel hanging out in between here, and so we need more symbols here. And so what we have are these extra symbols that can stand in. So we have, or that can be used when we have another sound that needs to be written. So what else do we have? We have, I've also not written the front rounded and the back unrounded vowels. So let's pause before we do that and just let me finish this. So we have this vowel for something that's not quite oo and not quite o. What else do we have? We have something higher, low, center. So we have this kind of upside down. Oh, I don't know why it does that. Upside down A vowel here. And so we can use these extra symbols if we are missing, if we need something else to. So where are we? I haven't given you the symbols for the rounded front vowels and the unrounded back vowels. So I'm going to make use of a new color, a blue, beautiful blue, and we are going to look at the rounded equivalent. So let's look at the rounded front vowels. So we've already seen this letter Y is used for the rounded version of E, U. We also have, essentially we have rounded equivalents at every single point of the cardinal vowels. So we have one here, we have one here, we have one here, and we have one here. We also have one here, and we have one here. Oh, and sorry, we have one here as well. Then we have the unrounded equivalents of the ordinarily rounded back vowels. And so that I'm just going to give them a slightly different color here. Yeah, okay, there we go. So we have the unrounded high back vowel. Then we have the high mid, low mid, and oops, I remember. I forgot to put one in here. So we also have a sort of in-between high and sort of a not quite high, but just a little one step lower front rounded vowel, which I'm not going to attempt to pronounce here because I don't think I could do it justice. But it's well, okay, I will attempt to, because, you know, this is a stream. If I'm not going to try it, why bring it up? So we have something like bit, and like that. So that would be this small caps Y. If you are a native speaker of a language that has this vowel, you may find these efforts comical. But that's what we're here for. If we can't entertain you a little bit, then, you know, what can we do? Okay, so I'm going to take a brief hydration break, and I will return, and I'll address this comment about the glides. 1 second. Okay. So essentially, a glide is a consonantal version of a vowel. So I think if we're talking, so this is, I'm kind of approaching this from a phonological angle, but if you have an E that is used in a consonantal way, you have something like yeah, yes. But if you stop, if you say something like yes, and you hold it on the Y, yes. So you have essentially a vowel, but being used in a consonantal way. Now, I think there may be some small difference in articulation, a little bit more obstruction of airflow. That is not something that I'm 100% sure about. But you can hear in English the difference between, you know, in English, our long vowels like E tend to have this off glide E. And so the fact that it's not E, but E indicates that there is some slight articulatory difference. But that I'm off the top of my head, I'm not exactly sure how I would characterize it. But essentially, a glide is like a vowel being used consonantally. So in a position, in a syllable where you would expect, or where you need a consonant. So you have things like E, where the glide version is a Y. You have things like U, where the consonant version is W. And you have a few others. Okay. So we've talked about the three kind of dimensions of vowel quality. Now, this is only vowel quality that we are talking about. So this is sort of difference in the sound of a vowel, but we can also have different vowel quantity. So some vowels are held just for longer than others. And this is a distinction that some languages make. So we have languages where you'd contrast a with a, or o and o. And I'm not going to dwell too much on that here, other than to just let you know that it exists. There's also tone, which shows up on vowels and can make contrasts in languages. You also have nasalization, which can occur on vowels. So if we go back to our friend with sinus problems, oops, we normally have the airflow coming through the mouth, and the velum is actually blocking off airflow coming up into the nose. But we can also lower the velum and have, instead of we can have. So if you've ever, this is a big thing when you're learning to sing too, is you're often told in some way or another to raise the velum, at least in certain styles. And it's hard for people to do this sometimes because it's not something that you have a great deal of insight about how to control the velum. You know, okay, raise your velum, everyone. But you can actually get at this. You can isolate this motion by just if you speak any French, you know, you're already primed for these vowels, these vowels, these nasal vowels. If we're going to allow airflow through the nose, what we're doing is we're lowering the velum. So the difference between apologies, that probably sounded kind of dubious, but so that difference, whatever you're doing to do that, if you do it along with me, that's raising, lowering the velum.